Call the regular meeting of the Town of Florence Planning and Zoning Commission to order on Thursday, June 6th, 2022.
Second.
Second. I told my compadres up here that I forgot my reading glasses, so I said, please keep me honest, so thank you. Yeah, at 6 p.m. Maricela, would you do the roll call, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Adam?
Present.
Commissioner Capolongo?
Present.
Commissioner Pro?
Present.
Vice Chair Frost?
Present?
And Chairman Pranzo will not be here.
Okay. Invited Commissioner Capolongo to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please rise.
All stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. First item of business is discussion, disapproval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on May 19th. So, Commission members, any comments, discussion, questions, concerns about the minutes?
No, I think I'd like to compliment staff. That was a very long, involved meeting, and I thought you did a great job capturing all the input.
And for Commissioners' information, I found few misspellings and a few grammatical errors that I have sent to staff for correction. None of the intent changed, just a few grammatical type things. So I think
There's some grammatical changes.
just grammatical changes. I think the
Some
minutes are accurate.
capitalizations.
A few misspellings, things like that.
Okay.
I have made the changes to the copy to be signed tonight.
We can't.
I have made the changes to the copies to be signed tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
And with
they're-
that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting conducted on May 19th, 2022, with the changes mentioned.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Adam and a second by Commissioner Pro. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay. We appreciate that. New business. 5A, for discussion/approval to accept Gary Pranzo's resignation from the Town Planning and Zoning Commission. And with that, I will open this for discussion to commission members. For comment or whatever.
Comment?
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I believe that the reason that Gary was asked to submit his resignation is unwarranted. But more important than that, Gary is an intelligent man with invaluable experience who has demonstrated a desire to serve the town of Florence. And so for that reason, I believe that it's not acceptable to receive his resignation. That's my personal feeling.
If I may, I agree with you. The chair and I have disagreed, but we've never been disagreeable. I doubt Chairman Pranzo and I would ever go out to dinner and go have drinks. But I cannot find any fault in the way he's conducted the board, the way he's run the meetings, the way he's dealt with the public. He's always been a professional. He's always shown courtesy, dignity to people who come to speak. He's injected humor when it was absolutely needed. And he's helped keep me in line, too. I find it laughable to ask for his resignation for him being unpopular. I don't see that, and I disagree with it.
I guess I've known Gary since I moved here in '08, and I just want to mention a little background. I know that he has served on this commission when no one else would, and there were only 3 commissioners, and he has taken the ball and run with it for many years, and I think that's very admirable. This is not an easy job to do. I'm uncomfortable with this. I do not understand why this is coming to us, but it's here, and I just want to wish Gary all the best.
Thank you, and I'll add a few comments. First, say amen to everything that you said, because I totally agree with that. I bugged Maricela today to do a little bit of research about Gary's service and found that he served on the Planning and Zoning Commission from 2005 through 2008, and from 2014 till currently, a total of about 12 years. And that's why we saw such good experience and good insights and a wealth of knowledge that, as he mentored us, I guess is the best way I can say it. And it's very, I think it's with deep regret, as we've all stated, that Gary leaves this commission. But he has submitted a resignation, and I don't want to dishonor his wishes either, although I would love him to stay. And I want to acknowledge what he has done, the service that he gave, the history and perspective that he brought to this commission, because I think, I think while all of our hearts are in the right place, we are only going to have one person left here that understands the issues of the core part of the town, because a lot of us are newcomers. We want to serve, but this young lady here is the only one with that perspective, because Gary is leaving now. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Vice Chairman, if I can read this as requested by you, an email from Gary.
Yes, please, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Prior to that, please. Good evening, Mr. Vice Chairman and Commissioners. So, spoke with...
If I can interrupt, we know who you are, but for the record.
Oh, okay. I'm Keith Eaton. I'm Community Development Director. So speaking with Vice Chair Frost prior to this, he had asked and requested that this be read into the minutes tonight. This is from Mr. Pranzo. The Town Council has stated I am very unpopular and therefore unfit to continue as Planning and Zoning Commissioner. Be that as it may, the decisions and recommendations made by this commission cannot be governed by popularity. There are times when the hard words must be said, or a commissioner in all good conscience must make a recommendation that goes against popular opinion. The calling for my resignation by council based upon popularity undermines a commissioner's ability to perform his duties. This president cannot be allowed to stand. Although my resignation is etched in granite, it is my hopes that you will find a way to send council the message that judging a commissioner based on popularity rather than performance is not acceptable. It has indeed been my pleasure to work with you, and I wish you all well in your future endeavors.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure we join with you in saying thanks, or all of us join and say thanks. So with that, I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Gary Pranzo's resignation from the Town of Florence Planning and Zoning Commission as read.
I will second that. And we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Split decision. So I guess that goes to council now as a 2-2 vote.
Yes.
And I understand that council we have 2 alternates that are currently have been selected, and that in the very near future they will select an alternate to be seated on the commission, so we'll have 5 members.
That is correct. There's 2 alternates. We've already, there will be, it is on the agenda, agendized for Monday night for council to address that, to address this resignation and then to accept the first alternate onto the.
Thank you for that.
According to this, it says that the first alternate has been picked and will be sworn in on, he'll be appointed on June 6th. So,
correct.
Yep.
Very good. So we will be whole very soon. Okay. 5B, presentation/approval with conditions or denial of a design review application by the Town of Florence for a new utilities maintenance facility. Staff report, please.
Mr. Vice Chair, would it be permissible to make a motion to deny accepting?
To reject.
Or to reject Gary Pranzo's resignation?
We understand that it would be figurative because he's not an indentured servant. We can't force him to be here.
Right.
Just to send the message that we disagree.
That didn't seem to be an option in our agenda. It says discussion.
Or approval, and at this point, since it was split, if you did make a motion, you'd have the same outcome. And at that point, it's a moot point.
Okay.
But in the minutes and in the recording, we do understand your dissent to it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No, I appreciate your positive affirmation very much. I'm sure Gary does too. Okay, Marcelo.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'm sorry, I just got a text from Lisa. Apparently, or Ms. Garcia, apparently there's having some issues with the Channel 11 video is not streaming. Can we pause just for a second?
Sure.
Yes, we can do that for sure.
Thank you very much.
Should we play the Jeopardy music while we're waiting?
I'll sit and watch my phone.
I would sing it a cappella, but then that would be problematic trying to type that into the record.
Please don't.
Keith and or Maricela, while we wait for Channel 11 to become active, I have a protocol question for you. I've been informed that there is a member of the audience that would like to speak to item 5B. And although that's not a public hearing that we would typically open for comment, do we want to take that comment during 5B or wait until the end when public comment is allowed?
Wait till the end till public comment is allowed.
Okay, I want to make sure that we're following the correct protocol on that. Okay, thank you.
Because this one does not include a public hearing. Okay. We may continue now. We received a design review, not that one. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So we received an application from the town of Florence for a new maintenance utilities facility building, or otherwise called the water barn. So this is a town of Florence project. It is located at the two APNs, 200-470570 and then 200-470580. This project is strictly for a new maintenance utilities facility for the town employees and staff that work within the water, sewer, and public works departments. Now, the design for this building includes many things. So there will be an office building, but it'll also have a storage yard and a recycling drop-off area. Now, the two parcels will have a street abandoned since they are split by Silver Street, and it will all be encompassed by a wall. The current zoning is neighborhood multifamily residential, or R2. And as stated, this whole facility will be fenced in by a 6-foot 8-inch or 2 and 8-foot high CMU screen wall in order to keep it contained from residential and the public works facility next door. Now, the two-story metal building that will be on the property will be 4,400 square feet. The building will be a gray and red to match the public works building that is located nearby. And the site will have 14 paved parking spaces for employees and visitors. There are 3 access points to the facility, 2 from the south and one from the north, or 1 from Ruggles and 2 from 6th Street. And the town of Florence will complete a submittal to abandon the easement on Silver Street in order to have this as one complete facility. This is a site plan, also found in your staff report, of what the facility overall will look like. So on the west side, you will have your building with the parking spaces, and on the east side, you will have the storage kind of areas, as well as the drop-off bins for the recycling and other items. This is an elevation of the building that they are looking to construct. It includes water services building signage on the awning that covers the front area or the front entrance. There will also be garages for storing of the water services and sewer departments' vehicles. This is a floor plan of what the internal of the building will look like. Since it is 2 stories, you'll mostly have offices, but you'll also have the warehouse area on the first floor. We received no current plans for landscaping. However, we did talk to the applicant, Ron Gritman, who was also here to answer questions. He discussed that there is some areas around this development that they'll be looking to landscape, but most of it does butt up against the property line. And then there's Town of Florence right-of-way. So some areas will be landscaped, but in a similar fashion to what is found at the Public Works building just across the road. There will also be the LED light fixtures that will be shielded to point downward, and that light will be over doors and around the building in order to provide visibility to employees. As shown in the elevation, there will be signage. It is not going to be illuminated, but is going to be made of metal letters, black letters, in order to stand out against the building. Now, staff finds that the design review meets the requirements of the town code. In terms of zoning requirements, because it is a Town of Florence project, the Arizona state requirements allow towns to not have to follow some of their zoning requirements. But we did want to bring it to the Planning and Zoning Commission so you guys have a chance to look and provide recommendations or suggestions for this project. With that being said, we do have a list of conditions within the staff report. This project does have to follow engineering and building requirements as well as fire safety, just overall. So the Planning and Zoning Commission may move to approve with the listed conditions or deny the design review of the Florence Utilities Maintenance Facility, case PZ 2228. As stated before, we do have an applicant here to answer any questions.
Push the button. Thank you, Maricela. And we'll bring us to the commissioners for comment, question, discussion.
I'm not real familiar with that particular area, but how close are the homes around that area where this facility is going to be? Are they right adjacent to it?
Most of them are adjacent. Let me get to a map here.
Okay.
So these are the 2 plots we are looking at. They are currently vacant. You have over here the current Public Works building,
Okay.
parking lot over here, and then we do have homes that surround it.
All right. Okay.
But the wall is meant to shield these homes from that development.
Yeah. Okay. No comments.
So I have a couple of comments and a question or two. I don't know if you all are familiar, but that is Ruggles Street. That used to be the main street to our town. It is still one of the leading streets into our historic district and Main Street. It is the main road that abuts up against Mount Athos, which is one of our best restaurants and which is where most of the judges and lawyers and professionals attending the court go for lunch, as well as realtors and many visitors to our town. It is directly across the street from where families live. There are 6 historic buildings on Ruggles with National Register plaques. What we didn't really focus on is there is an existing very large public works building. So this will be now a row of 3 very large metal buildings. I am not against this. I remember when the town purchased the land and it was stated specifically this is what it was for. I'm a little disappointed that coming in, and I do want to thank you. I understand this is not required, so thank you for giving us this opportunity to hopefully work with you. I'm disappointed that there wasn't a greater effort made to make this look neighborhood-friendly and professional. Most public works utility buildings are on the outskirts of town. This is right in the heart of a neighborhood, a lived-in neighborhood. So my hope would have been that something would have been done to cosmetically make these buildings a little more appealing. I don't know what the code is for a commercial building, but when I put my wall up, it was 6 feet. I look out at the police wall, which is 10 feet, and not welcoming. And we fought that, and we were able to not get razor wire on the top of it. All I'm saying is that this is where home tour comes in. And is there no way that we can make it a little more appealing? And I appreciate that you've already thought of some landscaping, but if it's going to look like the 2 trees that currently decorate our public works building, I'm looking for a little more green, a little bit more soft landscaping. I also have a concern about the traffic with the recycling bins, 6 of them. Are these replacing the Heritage Park bins?
Yes, they are.
So I have a big concern about the garbage trucks, the vibrations, and the traffic. We recently approved the dentist office to go in there with less than required parking spaces, and so they will be now parking on the street, as will the overflow from Mount Athos. So we already have a parking issue around that exact area. So I'd like to understand that a little bit better. And the 10-foot setback, I don't know, apparently there's a driveway coming out onto Ruggles. People walk on that street, kids ride their bikes. If you come out of there, that's not a lot of visibility for people who are used to walking. That's a pedestrian walkway. As I said, this is a lived-in neighborhood. This is not abandoned. At least 7 of us have put in significant monies into our homes this year. And so we're trying to make that street as beautiful as possible, and I'd like some help from the town. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few comments too, and amen to everything that's been said. I believe those comments are very valid. I did have a concern with the industrial look of the building in a residential neighborhood, and particularly when I saw there's no landscape or anything like that, it's going to look like an industrial building, particularly metal. So I would second the thought to please try to give us some texture or something there that hides the fact that it's and has the industrial look. A couple of other thoughts. The 7 recycling bins. I've been part of a couple of facilities where recycling bins are located, and inevitably, you probably have experienced this, you have people that are hesitant or don't want to pay garbage, and so they throw their garbage in recycling bins, leaving some poor soul to dig that out and leaving the area a mess. The other thing that tends to happen is with the wind that we have around here, since recycling is very light, it gets blown around. I'm glad to see that there's a high wall around it. So I guess my suggestion at the very minimum is, 1, provide security cameras or something so that people know they are being watched when they're there dropping stuff off, or I think that the history will repeat itself and we'll get all kinds of stuff dropped off, which then causes other problems. Then you get the vermin and the other thing if they start dropping anything but recycling there. The other thing that was interesting that I did not see on this site plan is a refuse bin for the facility. Where's the facility going to throw its garbage?
Go ahead.
Good evening, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Ron Gritman. I'm the Senior Civil Engineer in charge of the project for the town of Florence. In terms of the beautification of the building itself, this is a long-term capital project that has been in the town's budget for many years now. We are limited by budget constraints. I certainly will take back to the architect the desire to beautify it, but I understand there's only so much lace you can put onto a beautiful metal building and you still have a metal building. And so there's just not much to do to cover it up. The intention of the block wall is to provide some of that hiding, if you will, screening. Thank you. In terms of there will be a refuse bin on site, but since it's behind a block wall, the whole thing will already be out of sight. All of the gates, including in the recycling area, those gates will be remotely controlled gates. They will not be open unless the town is conducting something. Or if they are open during the daytime, they're going to be open during operational hours, so there will be people around. We recognize that introducing recycling in an uncontrolled fashion can result in some very unsightly activities going on in there. And so that's the intention of the gates we're going to control access to that thing pretty much at all times. With that, I'll be happy to answer any other specific questions that you have. As I said, we will do everything we can to beautify the building. I've told Marisol we will do some landscaping around, if anything from back of sidewalk up to the wall itself. We will do some landscaping in those areas. We're certainly not opposed to it. And I recognize that the existing Public Works building, and it's 2 trees, they're very attractive trees, and the flagpole, but nevertheless, they are a little bit lacking. And so this building will hopefully be a reflection of the town's attempt to live by our own rules. I've been in government for over 30 years, and I've always had issues when the king does not want to live by the rules that he imposes on everybody else. So that's the reason why we're here. We did want to come and bring this to the commission. So your comments are well received.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate your explanation. So that the refuse service for the building, will that be with a typical 90-gallon roll-in, roll-out container, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We already have 2 or 3 of them already in the existing Public Works building. And just not on the agenda tonight, but we are going to be putting a block wall around Public Works also and getting rid of that chain link fence.
Oh, okay.
The same intention is trying to screen it with something a little bit more attractive than a chain link fence. And we are not going to be doing razor wire across the top of any of these things.
Good.
Not meant to make this look
Thank you.
like.
So a couple of more questions if I could. One is, it looks like this facility is basically there to deal with town staff. Are you anticipating visitors coming to the facility for
Meetings.
just for meetings? Okay.
Yeah, this isn't where, we're not going to be relocating where people pay their utility bills.
Okay.
However, this is where utility staff, we haven't decided who's going to be up on the 2nd floor yet. But primarily it's for utilities administrative staff. The town is moving forward on called a SCADA system,
Right.
Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. It's how we control the utility system remotely. And this site will be used as basically SCADA Central. It will be the main hub for the SCADA systems. So it will have components to it that will bring people in and out of it. But it's not meant to be a public building, no more than what Public Works is meant to be a public building. It's not like City Hall, not by any stretch.
Okay. And so noise-wise, it will just be staff coming and going. There's no fabrication or anything happening here of that nature?
No
Okay.
fabrication. In fact, Marisol said that we would be using vehicles inside. Very rarely will they be parking vehicles inside. The intention of what they're doing right now, utilities maintains all of their components, water meters, pipe clamps, things that we use during breaks and whatnot. They store them outside in 3 different shipping containers. I mean, they're very unattractive and, they're shipping containers. And the intention is to try to clean up the public works yard by getting rid of some of these less attractive storage facilities that we have on site right now. So primarily, the utilities area is going to have high racks in them that the guys will be able to utilize and store all their materials that they use in daily operations on.
And will the recycling have like an hours open? Will you post something like Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 or something like that? What the thought is? Or?
As I said, it's my understanding that unless the town is hosting something, those are going to be controlled access bins. If they are open, they're going to be open during the operation of what Public Works operates as. They will be closed. It's not meant to be the free access that is currently happening right now. That's actually leading to some of the problems of why we're moving with an enclosed recycling facility, so we can control the access a little bit better.
And I guess one final thought, I think you covered most of everything, is there a market for recycling? I know for a while it absolutely tanked and it cost more to get rid of it than it did. There was no ROI to it.
I'm your engineer. I'm probably not the one to be asking about what the marketability of recycled products are. I have my own personal opinions on it, but if this is the direction that the council, that the town has given me with the project. So this is what we're moving forward on. Originally, we were anticipating if the town does have an event, that there will be stacking of vehicles. And that's part of the reason why you'll see the entrance on this comes in off of 6th Street, so that Ruggles does not see the stacked vehicles for anybody waiting to get into an organized activity that the town has going on. It'll stack along King, along Warner, and along 6th. And so anybody exiting onto Ruggles will just simply be coming out, hopefully stopping for pedestrians and kids on bikes and everything else, and then moving on their way. But the intention was to not allow traffic to stack onto Ruggles itself. So that's why the direction of it goes from south to north.
Thank you. I think we appreciate the good news about the aesthetic improvements to the public works yards nearby. I think that the chain link going away will be a very positive thing, and the shipping containers going away will be very positive.
There
and
are
if you
some,
just, just add a little bit more aesthetics to this building, it'll go a long way.
I can't promise you split-face block, but I'll certainly carry it back and see what the budget can afford.
Yep.
Just a question, what is the timing? When will it begin and completed?
If it were up to me, I would be starting on this thing day after tomorrow. It has to go through the council process. It has to go through our bidding processes. We still have to complete the design work on it. My intention is to get this project finished and complete by the end of the calendar year, by December. However, we're finding out, for example, the metal building alone is looking at lead times of up to 9 months to a year. So it may push us into the end of the fiscal year rather than the end of the calendar year. We're having this impact on all of our projects. Well 5 is being pushed back. All these things are being pushed back simply because timelines to get pumps, timelines to get metal buildings, timelines to get these things are running into multiple months now, where originally it was just a few weeks, maybe even a month at the most. And it's just not proving to be the case now. We will be working, our intention is to deliver this project using an alternative delivery method. I don't want to get into Public Works jargon too awfully much, but we're going to be using what's called job order contracting, where we can open dialogue with a contractor pretty much directly based off of preliminary designs. We won't take this thing through to final design. We'll get it far enough along that the metal building manufacturers can do the work that they need to do on it, give us prices on everything, and move forward. So we're hoping that that delivery method will shorten the timelines of what we're doing here. But again, Bunger, last time we talked to them, they were looking at 6 to 9 months. So.
That's tough.
Could I get a clarification back to the wall and the building? So the wall is going to enclose the whole site. So then, I don't know that I am asking for beautification of the building, but perhaps a more attractive wall, right? Because that's what you're going to see from the street?
Yeah, we will be doing some kind of an architectural feature through the wall. For example, a running soldier course, a change of cinder block construction. Maybe we will have a couple of split face running beam or running lines through the wall. We're going to be doing something with it. It's not going to be a straight 8816.
But, so I'm sorry, when you say lines through the wall, is that the police station wall? Is that lines through the wall?
What I mean by that is where you'll have a standard CMU wall, a block wall coming up, and then you'll have a different texture that will run horizontally along the entire way and may do some vertical deflections and everything else around it, and then you'll finish off on the CMU wall up on top. It won't just be a stock block wall. My goal is not to build that, unless prices come back ridiculously high on something like that, but that's not our goal.
Yeah, I hope we can get creative and make it something very appealing. Like I say, this is massive with an addition to the existing utility building, right? So, in my mind's eye, Arizona has beautiful roadway works of art on the cement barricades. I don't know that we can go to that extreme, but something a little more scenic would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, with that, Ron, we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to take a look at this. We know you didn't have to, but we appreciate you listening to us offer our 2 cents on it. And
Thank you. I'll carry it back.
we'll look forward to as aesthetic a structure as you can provide. And with that,
I do need a motion for approval or approval with conditions or denial, just for
that's right.
process sake.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with conditions.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Capolongo and a second by Commissioner Pro. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No need to do a nay count. I think we're 4-0 on that one. Thank you very much. Thank you, Maricela, for keeping me in line. 5C, presentation approval with conditions denial of a preliminary plat application for Vista Grande at Walker Butte by the Iron Line Partners. Staff report, please.
Vice Chair, members of the Commission, the preliminary plat for Vista Grande at Walker Butte has come forward to the town for review. We've gone through it, and this request is for approval by Iron Line Partners. They're the ones who submitted the application. The approval is only for this Vista Grande portion of Walker Butte. Walker Butte is a much larger PUD, as we've seen with the previous preliminary plat, Walker Butte 300, and this is only a small portion. Now, this area is just to the west of Hunt Highway, and it is sandwiched between state land that is within the county just to the north, also known as Magic Ranch, and then the rest of the Walker Butte community to the south. Now, the main way to get in is through Walker Granite Road, which comes along the western side of the property, and it heads all the way up into Hunt Highway. There are 3 main entrances into the Vista Grande preliminary plat. This is just an overview of the 6 units that complete the plat. And this is the overall Walker Butte development just itself with the land use plan. We're only looking at this northern part of it. It doesn't quite come down to the Franklin Road. And it doesn't quite reach the Walker Butte 300 area either. Now, Vista Grande is a single-family housing area. The minimum lot width set by the PUD and by the town of Florence is 45 feet, and the minimum lot depth is 100 feet. These lot sizes range from 5,227 feet to 13,068 square feet, and the plat shows the two main lot dimensions, which were similar to the Walker Butte 300, which is 55 by 120 and 45 by 120. Both of these meet the minimums. Now, the density is between 1 and 4.5 dwelling units per acre. And the Vista Grande plat shows that the overall unit is 3.92 dwelling units per acre. That's the overall. Now, the gross acreage is 154.17 acres, and this is a lot smaller than the Walker Butte 300 that came previously. There are 6 units or parcels, and they each range between 121 lots and the smallest, which is 87 units. This comes to a total of 605 lots. They meet the necessary open space and minimum setback requirements, as well as lot dimensions. We already went over the dwelling units per acre, which is well under the 4.5. Town engineer has reviewed the TIA and approved the street widths and designs and layouts. Some of them were from the preliminary plat, which this has come before the commission in 2014, and it was approved then, but it has been much longer than a year, and that approval has expired, thus it coming forward now. Now, there is an approximately 31.31 acres of open space. A landscape plan was provided. There will be landscape areas, green belts, entrance area, as well as parks and open spaces. These parks do include a playground, ramadas, one basketball court was also in the plat, and these areas do have green turf. I did remember a previous recommendation that there be no greenery under monument signs or entrance signs for developments, so I included this in the conditions in order to reduce the use of water. And there are walkways that connect these spaces that kind of go from the north to the south of the community. Vice Chair Frost did alert that we have an area that was not quite looked at when it comes to water kind of runs through it, and there are areas with open rifts that could impact the engineering in the lots themselves. We have the applicant or a representative here that can help answer those questions, and Frost will pass those out. Otherwise, staff does find this preliminary plat meets the requirements of the development code, and the commission may move to approve with the listed conditions in the staff report or deny this preliminary plat for Walker Butte Vista Grande.
Thank you, Maricela. Are there any questions for Maricela about the presentation thus far? Okay, commissioners, any questions, concerns, comments about what you've seen this evening?
Nothing here, no.
Okay, well, I'll speak for a minute then, I guess.
Very well done, Maricel.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. On page 3 of 5, it talks about the street, Granite Mountain, is that Walker Granite Road, and in the middle of the paragraph, it talks about how we'll have 4 travel lanes, 2 northbound and 2 southbound, and then it'll transition to 3 travel lanes, 2 northbound and 1 southbound. Now, I understand that that's because of constraints in right-of-way, but I also understand that we've got a lot of people here that are going to be using that road, and I'm wondering how we're going to get away with 1 lane going southbound. So if we could have the applicant comment on that and explain that, that would be great, so that I understand what's going on.
Good evening, Vice Chairman. For your record, my name is Bob Carver. I'm a principal with Ironline Partners. I didn't want to interrupt you. I don't know if you want to make a list of questions and then have me respond to them, okay, or would you rather go through them in order? So however you prefer.
I'll keep going, and then you can
Okay.
you can take notes and address them all at the same time. Okay, that's comment 1. The second one, and this is to the applicant and staff. Thank you for giving us the landscape plan so that we get a whole view of what's happening with this plat and what's going on there. We really appreciate that. And the other, let's see, and then on page 5 of 5, Maricela noted that one of the conditions, all turf is to be usable and playable, no monument turf. Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that we need to make sure of that I'm all for turf as long as people use it and it's playable. To be aesthetic, I think it's going against the active management area that we live in. On Exhibit L 2.3, it still does show turf at the monument area, so I'm assuming that's going to be taken out. And then, Bob, I will turn to the 11 by 17s that we have here. The first comment is just basically a concern that we have voiced and heard several times on your local street. It shows a right-of-way there and a paved area that if you include the gutter portion of the curb and gutter, you have about 30 feet there. And if you have 2 cars, each occupying about 7 feet on both sides, then you have a 16-foot travel lane through the middle of that, which compromises the normal safety requirements to be able to fight a fire and for people to pass. So that is a concern. On sheet 3, this is the first time we have seen topography. And you have some interesting topography out there, and I just would like to get your thoughts. I've noticed that there are some of the lots and some of the areas here that have slopes over 4%. And a few lots that I noted have 5 feet of drop across the lots. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are in addressing that and keeping that aesthetic and not the dramatic difference in those areas. The another comment is on page 4 in the upper right, where you are indicating a 20-foot emergency access easement to be maintained there for secondary access into the site. And just want to make sure that you've addressed that as well with the county, since I think the county still has the property to the north of there that this abuts, to make sure that we have permission to construct all-weather access in there. And I applaud you for doing that because I think that's a great option to have there. And then another one is that the exhibit that Maricela, I think she probably gave you a copy, an aerial photo that I pulled off the county's aerial photo site. The light blue line that you see that transects the property basically east to west, is from an area drainage master study that the county did that indicates in a 100-year flood event, there will be as much as 200 cubic feet per second of water flowing through there. So I went out and visited the site, and you'll note on the exhibit that I passed on to you that I've drawn in some blue arrows where I noted that I can have where you can see stormwater coming across the Walker Granite Road. But I noted that this probably is in the area of lots 442 up to about lot 450, and I don't see anything there that indicates that those off-site flows are being accounted for in the drawings, and I just want to make sure that those are understood and are going to be accounted for, because we could have a real mess there if we don't. And I think I got through all of my comments, so the time is yours to educate us, if you would please.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Frost. So I think I maybe grabbed all the notes, but if you'd like more information or if there's something, please interrupt. So Granite Road, I think and I don't have the benefit of having the report that you're looking at in front of me. So I think when it's referring to the 4 lanes, it's talking about the 4 lanes beginning at basically the north boundary of the property and then south, which eventually provides access to all of the Walker Butte PAD. So it becomes part of the main road from north to south through this area. Presently, then it transitions to 3 lanes for the section between the north boundary of our property and Hunt Highway to the north. And the idea is that that will provide ingress and egress in an interim condition until such time as the further traffic warrants the development of the additional half-street of right-of-way from our property north to Hunt Highway.
Okay, that's what I understood too, and I understood that the constraint was noted in the Magic Ranch area, which is the area that you just described, and it's state lands to the west of there, which I know can be interesting to deal with state lands and trying to get these things. So as long as it's understood that when that develops or whatnot, we've got to have that fourth lane, I would imagine, in order for traffic to be able to flow out of this area. Because there's only two ways to get out of here eventually. And I think we need 4 lanes, not be constrained and bottlenecked down to one in the south direction.
We agree. We're aware of the constraint.
Very
Yes.
good.
As it relates to the landscape plan, and you mentioned specifically, and we have some staff level comments to the landscape plan that I don't know if they're in your report, but we intend to address. There were some notes about adding perhaps more shade trees around park benches and to make sure that there's shaded areas. We intend to address all of that in the further, as we process our final plat for the first phase of this project. And to confirm the note about turf under entry monuments or in that, we'll get that cleaned up and make sure that that's not shown.
Yeah, just make sure it's playable, not on slopes, but where people can actually use it. Thank you.
Understood. As it relates to street widths, as Maricela mentioned, the traffic impact report that we prepared was submitted to the town's traffic engineer, who's reviewed it and commented that the street right-of-way and alignments are adequate. So that was the opinion that we've relied on in getting to this point.
TIAs typically don't address internal streets and just for capacity to get out to the main streets, but they don't typically look at the off conditions that always happen where you have people parked on both sides and you're trying to get through with something else, or two people are coming together and one of them has to dodge right or dodge left to be able to make it happen. So it's just an ongoing concern that we have with the narrow streets and making sure that people can pass through and that people can safely fight fires there. Our firemen can get in their emergency services and fight fires and save lives. So,
Understood. The grading, to be honest with you, we're not that far enough into the final engineering of this site to know what the elevation changes across this property, what would be required. So either by way of tiering with retaining walls or finding an earthwork balance that works. We're just not that far into it at this point. I appreciate the comment about respecting some of the natural topography, but to be honest with you, we're no farther in it than the sort of conceptual lot layouts at this point in time.
we'll look for interesting and aesthetic means of dealing with that topography then.
Right.
You can set the example because you're the first one in the chute in the town to do this. So
Good.
we want a good example.
We look forward to it. Access for ingress and egress over there by on the west side of the railroad track to get to Hunt Highway. Yes, we've looked. There is an easement there currently. It's virtually all weather as it sits there today. It might require some additional base rock in that area, but generally speaking, it's nearly all weather as it exists today, and the easement is in place for accessing in and out of there in an emergency situation. And then on the wash, again, that I would sort of 200 CFS is not very much water. And I would simply say that would be the kind of thing that would get addressed in grading and drainage plans that would get submitted to the town engineer, and to the flood control district to the extent necessary for approval. But that's kind of what almost sheet flow runoff is typically handled by way of retention and drainage swales. It's not significant, I don't think, from an engineering perspective. I certainly haven't heard of it.
Right, and when I drove in, I noted that the Magic Ranch development to the north of your development has a similar situation, and they have an opening in their wall and a concrete channel to deal with that type of thing, which I assume that eventually you're going to end up with something like that. But what I see here is just a solid, I don't see any easements or anything that could be constructed in, so look forward to seeing that as you move through the process.
It will certainly develop during the final engineering, yes.
Okay.
And that's all the questions I had. If I've missed something, please remind me, and I'd be happy to address it.
I think you got them. Commissioners, any other thoughts or comments as the discussion has happened?
Well, just again, to expound a little bit, enter egress, ingress from Hunt Highway. That's going to put, will there be a traffic control at that point,
Vice Chair Frost, Commissioner Prohl, I believe that there is a future light planned for that interchange that's a function of both planned development north of Hunt Highway and south of Hunt Highway. This project, the traffic won't warrant a traffic control device, but as additional development happens both south and north of us, I believe there is a device called for at that intersection.
What's the timing to develop this?
Commissioner Prohl, as we're all aware, there are significant water challenges that EPCOR faces in this area. There's been some recent movement which will allow us, we believe, to begin the first phase of the development, which is probably in the neighborhood of 200 lots. So it would be the parcels 1 and 2, which we would call phase 1. And we would intend to move toward development as quickly as we can. We're here as a step in the process to getting final plat and final engineering approved by the town for the first phase of that project, which would be on the north end.
Okay. So sometime before the end of the calendar year then is...
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
So that raises another interesting question. Will Walker Granite, will you develop that as a curb and gutter asphalt, or will it be in a temporary situation from the north part of your plat up to Hunt Highway?
Vice Chairman Frost, I believe that the plans would call for permanent improvements on the east side of the roadway with temporary improvements on the west side, which would get eventually replaced with a median or some, center improvements, and then the west side, future improvements would be installed at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Adam? Nothing? Okay. Okay, we'll bring that back to the commission. And Maricela, I saw you frantically scribbling. Did you note any other conditions that we need to include in our motion? I think one of those would just make sure that the off-site flows are dealt with.
Right.
I think we've,
So the off-site flow, and then as well as the playable landscape area.
yep, and you've already noted that there, which is great. So that captures, I believe, with staff recommendations, our conditions. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve with what's the term I'm looking for? Conditions, I'm sorry, with conditions. Go ahead and approve the Walker Butte plot.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Pro and a second by Commissioner Capolongo. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 4-0, it moves forward with favorable recommendation. Thank you for coming and talking to us this evening. We appreciate it. Okay. Item number 6, presentation information only, future agenda items. Maricela or Keith, want to address that?
Future agenda items, we do have another preliminary plat coming through for Western Crossings. This is a community near, on 287, just to the west of the hotel, the Green Tree Inn. The first phase of it had been final platted, but the second phase had never gone through the platting process, so that'll be coming through next meeting. We also, I would like to get a tally of who's going to be here on June 16th, so I understand Vice Chair Frost will not be in attendance on June 16th, and Commissioner Pro has noted that he may be out of town as well. So, Commissioner Adam, Commissioner Capolongo, will you be there?
I'll be here.
Okay, and hopefully our alternate, who will hopefully be on the commission by then, will also be in attendance so we can have a quorum of 3. With that being said, on June 16th, we will have the PUD major amendment for the possible storage facility on Phoenix and East Merrill Ranch Parkway come through on that day. We will also have a conditional use permit for a storage facility along 79B and 287, which is just kind of catty-cornered from the Burger King. There's an open space of land that's next to the apartments, and we have a gentleman named Brian Baker looking to put a storage facility there, so he asked for a conditional use permit, and it happened to land on that day. So it'll be a very busy meeting next time.
Thank you, Maricela. Is that it?
That is it.
Keith, anything to add? You good? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, call to the public. Item number 7, call to the public for comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Individual commission members may respond to criticisms made, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the commission shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. And with that clarification, is there any public that would like to address the commission this evening? Please state your name and address for the record.
Vice Chair and Commission. My name is Nicole Bucciolato, and I live at 360 Ruggles Street. And I live diagonal from Public Works currently, and the view of my front door is also the lot that is up for discussion on the new Public Works building. With that being said, I know it's really not up to us residents, and it's really not up for discussion if they're going to do it. From what I'm understanding tonight, it's going to be done. I just ask that you guys please ask yourselves if you would want this in your neighborhood. We already deal with huge generators kicking on at night from Public Works. We deal from all the ingress and egress of all their vehicles all day long. This is a residential neighborhood. We're already dealing with people speeding down it like it's 55 an hour instead of 25. And we do have a lot of overflow from traffic coming off of 79 already, and it's just going to get worse with the dentist office coming in. I know every time that I take my children to the park, to the aquatic center, the receptacles that are over there already are always overflowed, items that didn't fit in the trash or people couldn't lift or outside of it. And even though they're stating that these are going to be behind a wall, as you know, when the wind hits inside of a wall, it kind of tornadoes out of there and blows all over the place. We own the whole block that we live on, and we have fencing in the front and around our whole acre in the back. And the amount of trash that we have to go out and already pick up from blowing from Public Works or just trash in town, it's unreal. And I just don't want to have to keep doing this with receptacles, you know, in the area as well. With all those receptacles, you don't know what people throw in there. and then come rodents. And it's just something that, I am one of the 7 people that have renovated recently. We've spent over $120,000 renovating that house in 1 year. And had I known that these changes were going to happen, I probably wouldn't have purchased where I purchased. I wanted to keep it residential for my children. I have a child that is an eloper and tends to run, and so we have to keep, our house gated and locked, and this is just other things that I don't want to worry about, big trucks, garbage truck, like just the hustle and bustle of all this coming into our neighborhood. So I just ask that when these decisions are being made, whether we have a say in it or not, it's always good as public servants to ask the town what their ideas are and, to maybe take some of their ideas, into to thought. I live right there, and I called 3 people today alone, and I asked what their thoughts were. Everybody had a different idea of what was actually going to be there. There was a lot of hearsay. People thought it was going to be a dump station. Others thought it was going to be an actual building, like a brick building. Somebody said it was going to be a metal shed. There's, nobody really knows what's going to be there. And whether we have, a say in it or not, it probably should be, put out there and make people aware, and then maybe it'll calm a little bit of nerves. So, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you for coming out and addressing us, and I think you heard from the team up here that we have empathy with some of your concerns and would encourage you to take your concerns to council when this is heard by them as well, because that might open some purse strings so that some of those aesthetics can happen.
Absolutely.
When they hear the citizens speak about it. So Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Call to the commission, current events only. Commission members?
Quick question.
Yes.
Is that going to go before council at their next meeting?
Town council.
Staff, can you respond to that one?
That I don't know.
No, at this time, it's not scheduled to go before council. Generally speaking, design reviews don't go before council. It only comes before this body.
Oh, okay, so it's not going before council, so this means if you want to be heard, you better get on the phone. Sorry, I'm glad for the clarification, I appreciate that.
Council does something similar, though, where they have a call to the public at their meetings.
Yes, that's true.
The next council meeting is Monday, correct?
Correct.
Just put that out there.
Yeah. Super. Thanks for the clarification, keeping me honest here. Okay, now, call to the commission, current events only. Commission members?
Is it too late to ask for a future agenda item? Did I miss that?
No, this is the time to do that.
Okay. I'd like to be updated on the improvements along Hunt Highway between Franklin and north to, I think it's Magma Road. That's particularly Arizona Farms, that intersection, but the whole, with this additional development, there's more and more traffic on that road, and we need to understand what the plan is to improve Hunt Highway to handle the traffic, and especially the danger, that Arizona Farms intersection. That is such a dangerous spot right now. So could that be a future agenda item, please?
I think that's great. Maricel, I'll add one other thing to that too, that anybody that drives that road, if the wind is blowing right, you get the smell of the Section 11 wastewater plant, which is where this road of the plat that we just looked at actually tees right into where that plant is. And I know there's a process right now of shutting that down and building a different facility, a different location. And I think that plays into this as well because it's along that stretch of Hunt Highway. So as long as you're going to be talking to the county and getting their thoughts on their section of the road, could you report on that as well? Because I think
What's it called again?
the Section 11 wastewater reclamation plant. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Super. Well, we've reached that magic point. I will call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I will second.
A motion by Councilmember Adam. Commissioner Adam, I just gave you a promotion there.
He's giving you a promotion.
Commissioner Adam, and a second by Commissioner Capalongo. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.